Okay, great. Here we are in the first module of the course, and we're going to take an overview to what we mean by systems leadership, and this will help to structure and give an overview to the contents of the course and the different dimensions, different capacities of systems leadership that we will be covering and discussing. So we're just going to briefly outline four of those here and touch upon those so that you get an idea of the bigger picture of what we believe is critical to and defining characteristics of systems leadership. So the first one here is seeing and acting from the whole, which is key to all of this and is inevitably going to follow from being a systems thinker. Systems thinkers are thinking about the whole, and then the systems leadership is what follows from that. So the second one is around creating the conditions for emergence, and we'll talk now in a minute more about each of these. But creating the conditions, holding the space, essentially. Maybe you've heard that term. It's a key characteristic. Systems leaders are more like facilitators. They hold space for others to co-create in the emergence of new networks and new systems. So that's second. Thirdly, integrating across diversity. So as systems changes, we're bringing new networks, new configurations into the world. That's about connecting across the system in new ways and integrating across diversity. And finally, it's about transformational change and changing systems rather than changing any of the parts. So a systems leader will definitely have to be someone who is really interested in that kind of a change and not just interested in it, but actually someone who's really aligned with making that happen and is ultimately able to make that happen. Okay, so the first one there was around seeing and acting from the whole. So this very much naturally follows from being a systems thinker. As a systems thinker, you're looking, you're always aware of the broader context. You're always looking at the forest as well as the trees. You're always thinking about, what's that broader context within which our organization exists, or the things we do influence the world. And then taking that and asking, how can we do something? How can I bring something together, the right people, the right configurations that are actually functional and beneficial in that broader context. So these people are aware of the whole broad context and taking actions that are aligned with it. Absolutely critical. We can't change systems without really having that broader view of the overall environment from which we start to make changes happen. So secondly, creating collective capacity. They aren't the kind of traditional leader that we think of as essentially a person who has exceptional kind of qualities and leads an organization. They're more people who are creating they need to be able to introduce and build and grow a new capacity within a system or a group of people, a network of organizations, could be individuals. So that's kind of a key aspect here, that they're actually trying to create that capacity within the system. By empowering others, they work with context to create the conditions ultimately for the emergence of a new system. And integrating across diversity. Systems thinking and systems change is a process of integration. You go into an organization or a system and it's become fractured, disconnected, and misaligned, and negative synergies and so forth. And systems change and being a systems leader is about, systems entrepreneurship is about integrating and interconnecting those often diverse parts in new ways, in new synergistic ways, to realize the emergence of new outcomes. And they're often working in very heterogeneous environments across borders and divides. We'll talk more about that, and the kind of absence of authority and control and how you get things done. in that context, an important part of this, but this is the third one around integrating across diversity and across barriers and differences. Finally, this one around transformative change and being able to make that happen, and that being really the focus of what you're trying to achieve, rather than incremental improvements or efficiencies or whatever it may be. This kind of leadership is aimed at how do we actually enable the system to transform. So there are people who see the need to change the whole system rather than any of the parts, and they aim for a more transformative kind of innovation rather than just improvements. And that's the essence of systems change, which is ultimately the job of a systems leader. They're going to help people build their capacity. They're going to look at the broader context and ask what's needed here in this organization, in this community, and how can I bring those people together, create the right context, build their capacity for this more transformative kind of change. And we'll be talking about all of that in the coming modules.